This week in disc golf, Udisc is dropped by the DGPT. The Northeast Disc Golf Expo has another successful year. Some tournaments get fans the disc golf they're craving. Tatar gets a new whip, and so much more. It's Swiss cheese with the disc golf world, and you guys already know the one with all the holes in his game. You are watching This Week in Disc Golf, where we hit on all the things disc golf from the past week. Thanks everybody for taking the time to watch, and especially the ones who have subscribed. Disc Golf World will be back on tour for the entire Texas swing and finalizing a possible chess.com invitational stop. We're looking for recommendations on unique courses, food to grab, and any other must-stops we need to hit. So do us a favor and make sure to comment the recommendations down below. But let's get into the biggest news of the week. In some shocking news, Udisc announced that they will no longer supply real-time scoring and statistics, as DGPT will no longer be using the app, ending the 8-year relationship between the two, where Udisc was the core app for DGPT live scoring. Not the greatest announcement following Udisc's recent increase of their monthly subscriptions. Now, most disc golfers use the app to track their rounds, progress, stats, and for the tournaments they play. For those, the loss of the DGPT live scoring feature might seem minimal. Yet if pdga expands to be the solo platform used for sanctioned events, along with its recent rule changes, Udisc's future becomes quite shaky. For those who look at Udisc for DGPT live scoring and tournament results, there are more concerns. Udisc being used widely by most in the community, it has become familiar, accessible, and most importantly, easy to use, while also being arguably the most consistent aspect of tour coverage over the entire partnership with the DGPT, which means the DGPT does have some large shoes to fill, which has many less than optimistic. DGPT did release a statement of its own, as they will be partnering with the pdga to host live scoring and stats on dgpt.com. Keep in mind, the pdga did just acquire Statmando in late December. The acquisition not only included the brand, the employees, but most importantly, all of the Statmando data, which certainly was a crucial aspect for this partnership and developing DGPT's scoring page. The Statmando team, along with the pdga technological team, will be working to develop new features and analytics for the dgpt.com and, most importantly, live broadcasts. Even going further and saying that a basic version of the new live scoring platform will be available for the first tournament of the year, the chess.com Invitational, with promises of expanding the scoring pages even further in the near future. This move has been similar business practice by the DGPT, acquiring further revenue streams and getting their entire product under a single umbrella, while keeping all the rights to information usage. You only have to look at the company's acquisition of Jomez, the recent unification of the European Tour, and now its own scoring platform. The DGPT also makes it clear that this platform will also be launching a concerted effort to prepare DGPT scores and stats for licensing to third-party platforms as a possible future revenue stream, which means they could be used alongside future television broadcasts, sports news organizations, or what most are hopeful of, gaming possibilities for fantasy or gambling sites, which certainly could further the growth of the game and add revenue for DGPT. Yet for some, the consolidation of resources, product, and now stats, the sport loses the partnership or grassroots aspect that has been long part of and the history of the game, where more people and companies got a slice of the pie while working in unison to grow the sport. While others see this consolidation as necessary to grow the game to the heights that many hope the sport could attain, going further citing other major professional sport organizations as examples. Either way, with the season right around the corner, the DGPT coverage will certainly be far different than what we have been accustomed to as of late. Just this offseason, DGPT announced an update and new streaming service provider, the expansion of a unified tour in Europe, and now a new location for live scoring and stats. Listen, I'm not too sure where I stand on this. Udisc has become a comfortable app that helps with our content, so it is difficult to see them no longer with the tour. But I understand DGPT's reasonings here, which is a nice way of me saying I want to hear from each of you guys. Does this affect your viewing, and are you happy or upset with the latest moves? In some lighter news, the second annual Northeast Disc Golf Expo, or what might be considered our sports Comic-Con minus the cosplay, was held this past weekend.
Subscribe to Disc Golf World.
Probably for the better, though, because that's how you get those Dune Fleshlight promo cups. Jefferson was able to attend. Make sure to check out his highlights from the trip. The successful second year certainly displays proof of concept and possibility of expansion into other cities. The event, due to the large effort of owner Ben Kenny's, featured pros, announcers, content creators, over 40 vendors, Absolute sick exclusive disc drops, which included the Pixel, Kratos, and the Clash Tone Salt. It even had a 9-hole and a mini course. With the Northeast carrying one of the strongest disc golf scenes I've ever witnessed, it's no surprise the Expo being the win that it is, which certainly will grow larger each year. Yet its success also shows that this can be carried over multiple other locations with other popular regional areas. Charlotte, Minnesota, and California, just to name a few. All have a very strong disc golf scene and could find the same wins that the Northeast Disc Golf Expo has had. With Jeff Springs not only attending but witnessing this success in person, it might not be too far off of similar expo around DGPT All-Star or championship events in the future. There was some disc golf being played here in the States and overseas also, giving everyone the fix that they needed from this entire offseason. The Maricopa Open showcased Tristan Tanner, who had an absolute heater round, going 14 under on the final day to force a playoff with Andrew Marweed, who ended up having a costly double bogey late. Tanner was able to take down the event and the first win since 2021. Anthony Barella, who won the event last year, took third place, while Jennifer Allen took the win for the third straight year. I'm not sure what is more common, a Kevin Jones slip off the tee or him blowing a lead on a final day. Either way, both happened in Mexico at the MX Disc Golf Championship. With the GK Pro coverage being leaps and bounds ahead of anything Terry produces, it is just a larger player field away from becoming the unofficial start of the season. KJ went into the final day with a 2-stroke lead over the remaining player field, but would lose his lead on hole 17 after a par and would eventually lose in a playoff to Nicholas Culver, who shot a hot round of the tournament with a 9 under for his first A-Series victory of his career. Over in New Zealand, the Tapu Classic kicked off with its Tour Down Under 4-stop event, which featured the only 1,000-rated New Zealand disc golfer Levi Stout, who shot the hot round of the tournament on day 1 with a 10 under, where he went 6 down through the first 6 holes. Corey Ellis was able to take a share of the lead on day 2 and ended up coasting to a 2-stroke victory over Levi. Nate Perkins, with a showing of his own, finished tied for 3rd. In the FPO, Hall of Famer Juliana Korver took down the event ahead of Zoe Andyke. We are officially 3 weeks away from the season kicking off, and the final player movement of the offseason wrapped up this week. The first was famous Joe Mez cameraman who beat the GOAT Paul Macbeth at a European stop last year. Joey Tamale just announced a sponsorship deal with MVP. Jake Hubenheimer is officially announced with longtime rumor Lone Star Discs. And lastly, forehand specialist Chandler Kramer announced he will be rocking an open bag this year with no major sponsor attachment. Now for some social media quick hitters. Paul Ulibarri and wife announced that they are expecting. Congratulations goes out to them. Tatar announced her sponsorship and new ride while on tour in Europe. It's only a Porsche Macan, no big deal. Scott Stokely is not only getting back on tour, this time with a filmmaker to document. Guys, Eagle no longer has any Discmania discs, so stop with the DMs. Simon just shows how sick he is by hitting this gap. Alden Harris beats Isaac for a flat-ass Coke sushi. Maria Leva gets serenaded by a shirtless Luke Sampson after a workout. Goose shows he can putt, even if it's only at mini golf, still impressive. Ezra Robinson takes Alden over Gannon in a zombie apocalypse. Terrible options here, as no one would ever take a lanky teenager who doesn't have a driver's license and is too afraid to go in water to retrieve his own disc. Ezra Adderhold pokes fun of himself and Drew Gibson, announcing he was registered for the Champions Cup this year, which seemed to be a problem for him last year. And guys, that wraps up another Twig. If you stayed this long and you aren't subscribed, make sure to do so. While you're at it, comment and share. And if you want more, go and check previous episodes.